Hey there, everybody. This is Kristen from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation. And since it is January, one of the things that I think a lot of people do around this time of year is they tend to reflect on the previous year and sometimes before January, and just kind of think about where they want to go, what they want to do. It's sort of intention setting coupled with reflection, which hopefully comes up with some clarity about how we might want this next year to unfold. And one thing that I did actually on January 1st is I did a inner wisdom meditation where I didn't listen to myself because that would be weird. But I did listen to another recording of another inner wisdom, and I can give you links to both of those actually in the email that that this will come to you through. But nonetheless, the purpose of it was to try to tap into, as it suggests, the inner wisdom within you to just kind of see what comes up without necessarily, without editing ourselves or coming up with reasons why and questioning. You just sort of ask kind of put it out there and then see what comes up. And so when I did this, the phrase that came up for me was "be still," which is interesting and was a little perplexing at first, and I'm still kind of working on it. I have some theories on what that might mean, but as I was pondering it, I thought it would actually be an interesting phrase to theme one of our practices. So when I think of "be still," I think the idea behind that is to obviously pause, take these times like this practice to just physically be still. But I think it also means not pushing too hard and things like that, which I have a tendency to do, to be perfectly honest. Nonetheless, I thought it would be kind of fun that for our practice today, that we could really explore this idea of stillness. And I think I'm going to emphasize the idea of physical stillness. Now, if you're the kind of person that's very kinesthetic and very, you move quite a bit, you are probably pretty aware of the fact that you have small movements going on during your practice. Those of us who, I don't consider myself terribly movie as a rule, but there's always something. So it'll be a combination of being aware of your stillness and then also being very intentional about any movement that occurs. So at some point, I'm sure my nose will be itchy because it happens a lot. And so before I reach to scratch it, really just pausing, exploring that sensation, and then very intentionally moving my hand, to scratch whatever needs to be scratched. So that's kind of the idea. Please bring to this a concept of playfulness and that sort of attitude of just messing around. But I think that's what we'll do for this 10 minutes. So go ahead and, if you haven't already, find your seat. I'll set my timer. And if you haven't already, close your eyes or lower your gaze. And as always, I'd invite you to take a few deep breaths. Doing the best you can to fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. And emptying the lungs from the top, and then lastly, of all the air in the bottom. And doing this a few more times. If at any point you just want to choose an anchor to focus on for these 10 minutes, please do. But if you'd like to play with this idea of stillness, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and just notice your body in this moment. Are there any parts of the body that have movement right now? I'm noticing some mild twitching of my fingers on the right hand. If you keep your eyes open, even the blinking is a movement. I'm, of course, moving my mouth and jaw to speak, but you might have elements of your face that are moving even though they don't necessarily need to be. And you're not changing it in any way. You don't have to try to cease movement. I just want you to have that be the focus of your attention. And if you can, just try to be very intentional about that movement. Observe it. Play with it if it's ongoing. If you'd like to try to cease something, like a twitchy leg or something like that, play with that. Cease it and then release that control, going back and forth. I'm noticing the movement of my chest as it rises and falls with my breathing, as well as my abdomen. I'm also noticing a slight swaying, very subtle. Pretty connected to the breath, but more movement than I probably would have noticed if I hadn't been focusing on stillness and movement. When the mind wanders, remembering just to notice and bring it back, always with that attitude of kindness and compassion. Noticing movement, as well as sensations that may exist in stillness. As predicted, I do have an itch, but this time it's in my eyebrow, not my nose. So I'm gonna wait. Just rest my attention on that itchy sensation. It's not the point of being maddening, but just exploring that with an interest and a curiosity, as we do with all of that sensory information during our meditations. Allowing myself to scratch that itch very intentionally. And as I do, noticing another one. Checking back in with the body. Noticing I'm feeling a little more settled, a little less twitchy than I was. And for you, you might feel more so now that your attention is focused on movement. And there's no right way for this to proceed. Whether you feel more stillness or less stillness, just observing whatever level exists in this moment and having that be the anchor for your awareness. Noticing where the mind is now. And bringing that attention back to the body, to the quality of stillness that may or may not exist. And if there's less stillness and more movement, just noticing that too. The invitation is to aspire to some stillness, but as I mentioned before, resting your attention on it may actually inspire more movement, and that's totally okay. You're just noticing, whatever it is. If you can, noticing those sensations that inspire movement. Earlier we mentioned having an itch. You might even notice the sensation of air as it makes contact with any exposed skin. Just noticing. And for this final minute or so, seeing if you can try to invite in a little more stillness. And of course, it might have the opposite effect. But see if you can settle in a little bit more. Still your body a little bit more. Coming back again and again to the present moment. And seeing if you can hold your attention here in the present moment until the final bells. And that's 10 minutes. I have to say, I've never noticed my face being so itchy, ever. So that definitely, that was a chuckle for me through that whole thing. So thank you, as always, for being here and taking this time for yourself. Thank you for allowing me to be here with you on this journey. I hope that one was good for you, and if not, I hope that you were okay with shifting gears and doing whatever met your needs better. Thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye.